1. India-Africa trade has crossed the $100 billion mark, and the government of India wants to take it to $200 billion by 2030. India's direct investment in Africa has touched $75 billion. 2. India's biggest trade partner in Africa is South Africa with a trade volume of nearly $19 billion, followed by Tanzania and Nigeria with trade volume around $8 billion each. Egypt occupies fourth position with around $4.7 billion trade. Mozambique with $4.4 billion trade is at the fifth position. 3. India's export to Africa has three important pillars: affordable, adaptable, and accessible. These pillars of support are derived from India's vast booming domestic market. The Indian market is divided in various segments. As a result, a range of products are manufactured in India to cater to different economic groups. 4. India's largest trade partners in Africa are some of the largest economies in Africa. South Africa, which is India's biggest trade partner, is also the largest economy on the African continent and a mature market in Africa. The linkages between India's big trade partner and large economies can be traced further to Egypt, Nigeria, Morocco, Kenya, Angola, which are second, fourth, sixth, and eighth economies by size respectively in Africa. This proves that the size of the economy in Africa plays a crucial role in India-Africa trade relations. 5. The geographical proximity between India and the countries of Africa provide added advantage. A large number of big trade partners of India in Africa are littoral states of the Indian Ocean. It is also called maritime neighbors. These maritime neighbors are South Africa, Tanzania, Egypt, Mozambique, and Kenya. 6. The Indian export sector derives strength from a vast domestic manufacturing sector. India has a vibrant manufacturing sector across various sectors like pharmaceutical, automotive, engineering, consumer durable, etc. The manufacturing sector alone contributes over 17% of GDP of India. 7. Pharmaceutical exports are a good example of India's prowess. India has the world's biggest generic pharmaceutical sector, which produces around 20% of the global supply by volume. Vaccine production is an important part of the pharmaceutical industry. It produces over 60% of the world's vaccines by volume. 8. Similarly, an automobile is another major industry, which is the world's fourth largest producer of vehicles. It is estimated to be over $100 billion and accounts for 8% of India's exports alone. 9. India's dependence on import of energy, mainly crude oil and coal, is an important reason for a large volume of imports from Africa. Crude oil is India's biggest import, and Africa contributes around 20% of its crude oil imports. Nigeria plays a large part in India's crude oil imports from Africa. 10. The trade is in favor of Africa. A myth is generally perceived that India exports in large volume to Africa, but in return Africa fails to export back to India. In the top African partners to India, where out of 10 nations, 6 African nations export more to India than import from India.